Let's talk about President Obama. The problem I have, and I understand what he's saying, I really do. The only problem is, Mr. President, protests aren't supposed to feel comfortable. That's just, we got to get over that. I understand it. A lot of people have heard, a lot of bad things have happened. I understand. My dad was in the military, my brother was in the military. I get all that. But at some point, how do you get people's attention? You get people's attention by not making it comfortable. If this was like this birthday party and everybody was getting cake and ice cream, nobody would pay attention to what's going on.
Exactly.
So I understand it, and people who are hurt by it and are offended, I get it. But you also have to get what's going on in the streets of this country. And what people I hear all the time about this is they say, well, you can't understand, like the police thing, or people will bring up black on black crime. And I'm not getting off the topic, but just hear me out. They'll say, well, what about the black on black crime? How come you're not upset about that? And the problem is, we understand crime and how it fits in. What we can never accept is the people who are supposed to protect and serve us to kill us unarmed. That will never be tolerated. Do we like crime? No, we don't like crime. Do we understand why somebody's taking something from somebody else because they don't have?
Right.
I understand that. Right. I don't like it, but there's no way we should pay cops, and I'm not saying all, and then they are not going to protect or serve us. Instead, they are going to do harm. That's when people uprise and people say, enough is enough.
First of all, I want to destroy the narrative because people kill people that look like them in close proximity to them. They label it black on black, but they don't say white on white.
Can I give you the numbers? 90%, these are FBI statistics, 90% of all black people killed are killed by black people. 83% of all white people killed, Skip, are killed by white people. You never heard the term white on white crime, have you?
No, of course not.
Never.
I get what President Obama was saying because President Obama was in the company of a large military gathering. So he had to really take that stance. And while he asked us to sympathize and understand with some of these veterans, moms and dads, and what their loved ones have given the ultimate sacrifice, we asked the military family to understand the pain and suffering that we have endured for over hundreds and hundreds of years. We ask you to understand that. We ask you to also understand that these cops that are sworn by the state and federal governments, you have the right to not only take my civil rights, but you also have the right to take my life. See, in our communities, if Rob does something, we find out Rob did it, Rob is going to jail. That's what's gonna happen. When Pookie kills Ray Ray, and we find out he getting 25 to life. Officer Johnson shoots somebody, he gets paid leave, and then he's probably gonna get his job back in a month or two. Or that we're not gonna talk about it because we still haven't found out what happened in Miami. When the guy was laying on his back with his hands up, helping an autistic child, they shot him in the leg. And he asked the gentleman, he said, why did you shoot me? And the officer said, I don't know. He's laying on it. So you say compliance. So what is compliance? I give up. Whatever you want me to do, I'm laying on my back with the hands in the air, and you shoot me.
You still shoot me regardless.
And then you said, to make matters worse, we weren't trying to shoot you. We were trying to shoot the autistic kid that was sitting up in Indian style with a toy car in his hand. We weren't trying to shoot you. We were trying to shoot the autistic man. That's what gets us upset, guys. We see this. We see that the police and prosecution ask us to believe things of the officers that they would never believe if we told them the same thing. We could never say, well, I thought that phone was a gun and that's why I shot him. Well, he was fiddling around his waistband and I shot him. Or I'm hearing, I don't know how truth it is, the lady that shot Terrence Crutcher, they say she had momentarily deaf. She had gone, she couldn't hear the sirens and the stress level had went up and she couldn't hear a thing.
What? Or Shannon, can you give me your wallet? I want your ID.
Right.
When I reach for my wallet, you shoot me. You asked me to comply, right?
Right.
How can I give you my wallet if I don't reach in my back pocket?
The only thing I ask is that police officers and police families is that if you want us to assume that 95, 99% of you guys are good, please don't assume 95 or 99% of us are bad.
That's a good point.
I get you. I get what President Obama was trying to do, but he also understands of being a black man living in America that we say is equal. All men are created equal, but if we're all created equal, why are we treated so unequal? That's what we're asking.
Bottom line, Rob and I have talked about this. When black people in the United States of America are now afraid to get in their car and drive to the grocery store because their life might be in jeopardy, we as a country, people of all colors, then have an enormous problem that must be addressed soon, and it must be solved soon, because that is so wrong. That's where we've gotten. That's where Colin Kaepernick made us all uncomfortable enough, or the people who weren't listening, to say, well, wait a second. Oh, okay, yeah, now we got a problem. Did I love it the first time I saw that he did not stand for the national anthem as a white guy? I cringed because I'm God and country. Then I started to listen. My ears opened, thanks to you in many ways, and I thought harder and harder about it. We have talked about it on the old show a lot. And the problem became enormous to me. Not that I didn't already know about it, but I saw that it was starting to connect with everybody in the country. This conversation has been the greatest thing for race relations that has ever happened, in my opinion, in this country. You can say race relations that are an all-time low, but this has been great conversation. So I'm going to ask both of you then, are you saying you had a problem with what our black president said in these remarks? Did you cringe at those remarks?
No, because I realize he's the president of the United States. He's just not president of Black America. And sometimes we think because he's black that he's supposed to fix all the ails in the black community that's been going on for years and years and years. So I get what he was saying, but he came at the end and said, you have to understand that some of these people that are protesting, they've had loved ones that have died at the hands of police officers with no justice being served. See, in the black community, we have conversations with our black youth that whites never have. I don't think whites are having conversations with their sons or daughters how to interact with the police. See, that's a conversation I had to have with my 24-year-old son. So if I got to have a conversation, because normally conversations should transcend race. You got a son, you having a conversation, Skip, if you had a son, you would have the same similar conversation.
You got it.
But it's so one-sided, because it's only affecting mainly us. And so that's the problem. So if we want to make you uncomfortable, because if you tell us how to protest, it's going to be comfortable.
Who tells people how to protest, though?
If it's comfortable, see, if I give you a choice, Skip, give me 500 push-ups or give me 10. You're going to give me 10 because the 500 is going to make you
Well,
I'm going to give you 500 because I'm going to do them anyway.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. When you get uncomfortable, now that I got your undivided attention, now we can sit down and get to the table and we can try to come to a resolution.
Right.
And the only thing I'll say about Obama is
President
Obama, excuse me, is that he did come in when Kaepernick first, and when he commented on it, he did talk about it, and he said that he had a right to do it and didn't denounce it at all. And I understand the setting he was in, so he had to play both sides.
Yes.
So I don't have an issue with it.
Okay.
Well, President Obama is a politician. He's got to be political. But we've talked about it a lot. When it comes down to is people have to stop focusing on the protest upsetting them and listen to what he's protesting about.